Okay, so hello to everyone. Let's start with the today's session. I think in the last lecture we have done something called as constructors and its types, correct? So just to give you a small recap, in constructors type we have learned something called as default constructor type, which means it cannot take any values. It is just default. Why is it called default constructor? Because this is the constructor the way it was already made in the backend by developers. It is working already in the backend. So we try to override it, and this is how it looks. That's why default constructor. And as it was already existing, so nothing in the round bracket, and hence called as a default constructor. So okay, you cannot pass anything to this. But if you start if passing something, then it is called as a parameterized constructor. So which is over here, the second one. And the third one is copy constructor. Means if you want to create an object with copying of value from earlier created objects, then this can help you by call by reference method. Okay. So coming apart from all these things, let's take one small example in which we can see how these constructors can help us in some programs. Okay. So let me take some recent program. This is a complex number, right? So I'll go to that program in which we have done something called complex numbers. So this was the complex number. No. Yeah. In this program, addition. Okay. Fair enough. So I'll take you to this through this question of complex number, which we have done earlier only. It will be very easy. Yeah. So this is the program. Write a program in C++ to create a class complex. It should have facility to take input, add two complex numbers, and print data members. So before we proceed for anything, let us uh, you know try to think how are we going to utilize constructors here. So first thing required for a constructor, you know if you want to make any constructor, at least you should write that default constructor. So I'm writing default constructor here. Default constructor means only a constructor class name with a round bracket, in curly bracket whatever you want to write, that you can write. Okay, so here I'm just writing real equals to 0 semicolon image equals to 0, means I'm just assigning default value to the parameters. And in case somebody wants to send me any value, so here only last lecture we learned something like this. So I'll just copy that also here in this program, maybe useful to us. Yeah, so paste it, and I don't need these comments over here. It's just a parameterized constructor, so I'll just add that comment because that makes sense now. So you can see I'm writing default constructor. Okay, and the next one is parameterized constructor. Okay, so done that also. Now let us see how can we use these facilities. Okay, and then we'll see what else things we require in the program or not. So this was the class. I think there is a lot more below also in this slide. So I'll do one thing. I'll cut short this code a little bit so we can focus more. Okay. So I'm taking out everything which was there below, and from here also everything which we have already done. So this part will be gone. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is how it looks. Constructor, default constructor, parameterized constructor, input function, add function, and print function. So, okay. So right now I'm just taking out these comments because it's very old now. We don't need to refer comments anymore now. And then we'll take you to the certain aspects. Okay. So in this program, basically, I'm not going to ask user any values. Okay, I already know some values which I'm going to use. So if I want you to, just do it in that way. So let's say, we used to make certain programs earlier, like counter variable we used to create. It used to have a default value 0. So here also in this void main, to be precise, in this void main, okay, here, if when I'm creating a complex object C1, I already have something in my mind. I want to create an object with the value 3, 4. That means 3 plus 4i. And C2 also I have something called as 2, 1, means 2 plus 1i. So this object creation I have already thought of in my mind. So why should I ask user to enter the value? So I'm not going to call input function. Have you understood? I have just initialized C1 with 3 and 4, C2 with 2 and 1. Okay. So obviously call will go to parameterized constructor in this case. Then I have called C3. So see, C3 I am not knowing any value. So obviously call goes to default constructor and it will get the value 0. Then I am calling add function. It will do its job. Then I am writing print on all this stuff. Okay. So from this activity, one thing is very clear, I guess. We are not in need of input function currently. If input function is not required right now to me, I will not write it, or I will write it also, but I will not use it. That also makes sense. Okay. So let me reduce down this font and let me see if this gets fitted here. Okay. So this thing's not required. This command also not required. All right. So it's fitting. Okay. So now what I have done is, in this whole class, basically, okay, this is not required. This is a whole class. This is our void main. What we all can see is, in the void main, you have called parameterized constructor over here. Call goes to parameters. Here, call goes to default constructor, and all these things happen. So output would look something like, directly it will get printed. So I'm making it down over here in only. Yeah. So program to understand the, so what is its output should be. Yeah, here only we have written it. So this should be the output. So I will just copy it and paste it over here. Done. Okay. So in this case, you can see we are not asking user to enter the values, or directly that statement will start getting printed. Sum of 3 plus I4 and, right? There is an and. You can see here and 2 plus 1i. Sorry, it is 3 plus I4 and 2 plus I1 is. So we all know that it should be plus 5 plus I5. Okay. This is the expected output for this program. So in these things, we have only, taken the help of understanding these all things called as constructors. Now, if you look at the recent topics like operator overloading, which you have seen, so if you want to recollect that part, then why we can do that also. You can see here operator, I can just write plus sign, then complex T, rest things remains as it is. So this is scope resolution, sorry, this is the operator overloading here. So here also it will be simple. You just need to write C1 plus C2. So see, we have revised that part also. Now, if you want to define any function outside the class, why not? I will remove this void print outside from here and paste it over here. So let me paste it with that same format. Yeah. And I will shift this also to the left hand side because it is not in the class anymore. Yes. As it is not in the class, if I want to define anything outside the class, we all know very well, we have to supplement it with the class name. Complex it is. with the scope resolution operator, right? And this whole thing which was earlier should be defined inside also once, which we know. So I am pasting it down below over here under the public with semicolon, but this scope resolution operator part not required. So you can see very well, I have defined this function outside the class also without any hustle. Okay. So printf function has got defined outside the class. Just reduce down some space. Okay, you can come up. And this also. Okay. So we can see that we have done this part. We have actually made this program with scope resolution operator, operator overloading, parameterized constructor, default constructor also. So there is no limit as such. And understand one thing, if in the board paper they want to ask you something specific, they will ask you in theory question. In the program they will not ask you do like that only. But if somebody asks me in 12th standard make a program to a class complex, obviously I will always write this constructor, because I want to show that I know these all concepts also, even though they did not ask, and there is nothing wrong in it. Okay, so always good to go with that. So I'm putting it on the slideshow view, and you may note this down. Okay, so from here going to the next part, I would say we have made one program, I think so. I'll just search it. Circle program we had made. Yeah. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just take this program over there, and I have certain queries which I'll ask you. Okay. So I'm copying this program over here, and let's listen to my queries. So if you are showing me this output, program for circle class, enter radius, area you are giving me. I am a user. Okay. I came to your website. You have given me the facilities for class circle. Now, don't you think you would be admiring, or you would be requiring that many users should come to your website? So let's take my case. Today I came to your website for class circle operations. Don't you think tomorrow, if I have certain problems related to class, or activities related to certain other shapes like rectangle, triangle, or you may say something else like a sphere, cylinder, then also first thing which will come in my mind is your website. I'll come there and I'll see, and what I'll come to know is, oh, this website cannot give me facility other than circle. So bad, I would say. So limited edition of the website. Why they are thinking like that? Are they wrong? No, user is never wrong. Whenever user expects, always he would like to have solutions to the nearest proven solution. If your website is working well for circle, the next expectation is for some other shape also. So if I want to, let's say, create a kind of a circle or a kind of shape, if let's say this is your organization who has already made certain programs, let's say your website has already made a program for circle, then if next day I have certain queries related to rectangle, then also your website should have it. If I have a queries related to, let's say, triangle, then your website should be giving it. And this is my expectation, and user can expect anything. And if you fail to fulfill it, you lose an opportunity. Okay, so this is my requirement. If somebody is coming to our website, why are they limited to only circular shapes? Okay, and how we can increase the facilities without losing the security? Why security? Classes and object topic, the day I started I was more talking about the password. That's what security, isn't it? So I want to tell you all that the way, while drawing it into the way of diagram, I started putting every facility, circle, rectangle, everything in one domain. This is a one domain or one workspace, isn't it? This workspace, I would say, you can give a good name. For example, I can give a good name to this workspace as a shape, which is having internally many shapes. Okay, where every shape should have what all features? Calculation of area, right? Calculation of perimeter, correct. For area, we cannot do anything more than this because volume is not applicable for the 2D, because we are talking about only normal 2D shapes. If you go into 3D, then volume also comes into picture. Okay. So can I say we are creating a kind of a platform? Earlier, we used to only talk about only circle class or rectangle class. But if you want to integrate all the classes and make it one, then don't you think we need to interlink them with the common properties of shape, common rules of shape? And who can provide us such facilities? Let's see. I'll take this class also ahead. Okay. Yeah. What basically I want is there should be a kind of, superior person like shape. This shape is having the, global rules. Under this shape, we are in a need of defining other different shapes, circle. Then we may also need to define something called as rectangle and so on. But both should be linked with whom? Shape. So you can see I am drawing one arrow from here to here. Also one arrow from there to rectangle also. And you can see the flow of arrow. It is from shape to circle and rectangle. And this void main, I'll just draw it in a empty bracket basically. Means no color types. Main function means if main function have a certain work related to circle, then he will just go to him. He can just avail that feature, okay, from directly circle. If you want to have something more features, if he wants, then he can directly get it from rectangle. Means if you see this kind of a diagram, main function is getting benefited by specific feature of circle, sometimes by specific feature of rectangle, and in both of them common feature of shape also. Okay, means whatever common properties are there required for shape, for example area calculation, perimeter calculation, means these both the classes are definitely required to have such features. They cannot get out of it easily, right? So what is happening is no quality is ensured. Okay, now let me give you this certain nomenclature for this. What is happening? What we can do is we can define one class called as shape, okay, which has a common properties. Class shape, and we can also define one more class, second class, circle, and we can link both of them. Now, if these two classes are there, different class in the same program, and you have linked them, who is the superior class? Obviously shape. So properties of this shape is getting migrated to circle, but properties of circle, can it go to shape? No. So you can see there is a transmission of properties from here to here, means from upper level to lower level. Is it similar to something called as properties which we have got from our parents by default? Even if you don't want, still you will get the features from your parents, right? So this kind of a phenomena where properties of certain class gets transmitted to another class is called as a with the biological term called as inheritance. Okay, this inheritance phenomena is termed as if termed with this kind of a word in the biology topic, biology subject, but the word is so perfect that C++ developer also have adopted it and they have used it here. So what are we going to learn from today's lecture is inheritance in C++. Okay, you will understand these things in my this current example itself. Okay, so what is basically, there is a one superior class called as parent class. So I will write it down here, parent class. Okay, this is the parent class, and these lower ones are what? Can we say they are child class? Or they are getting derived from parent class. You can also call them as a derived class. Okay, so this is the topic that we are going to start. Anywhere in between, if you want to keep making notes, you can make it in your way. Okay, I'll proceed to the next part. So in order to make such a complex hierarchy, before that we should be able to make simple hierarchy at least. So I'll start teaching you simpler one. Okay, so you can see from this both the things, I'm copying this part and taking it here, and I'll name it as A, name it as or let's say I'm naming it as parent class, means parent is the name of the class I have given, and let's say here I am giving the name as child. Okay, so there is a need of two classes basically. So you can see I am going to define two class now. Okay, here we will understand what and how it happens. I'll remove these all things. Yeah, I'm giving the first class as name parent. Okay, obviously the superior one should be written at the top. Then I'll make one simple variable inside it. Parent is having one internal data member P. Let's keep it like this, P. Okay, and I'm not doing any scene statements here. I'm just keeping it name as input P. P for parent class. You can see I'm doing certain customization, and we'll see how it happens. I'm writing this is parent class /n. Okay, this will give us an idea of like whether call is coming to input function or not properly. Okay, so you can notice that I have defined one class. Now in this class, the way we have done, I also define one more class. You can see I'll keep it as a child. Name is child class. You can see parent class, child class. Okay, child is having variable internal called as C, function name input C, and this is child class. Okay, now going to the void main part. So let's write it over here. So whatever it and however it happens, I'll keep on noting it over here only. Okay, what I'll do is I'll create one object of class child first. Now you might be wondering, why am I creating of child? You tell me, if child has got derived from parent, who has more features? You do you know who has more features? Obviously children. Children have the features of parents as well as new features also. That's why they are more advanced. Okay, so we are more advanced in short. Okay, and that's true also. Second thing, if we have certain features, so and let's say I ask you a query in your home, uh, whatever facilities are there in your home, let's say television or TV, internet, all these things, what your parents have brought to your home, can you also use it? You will say obviously yes, why not, it's my home. No, not because it's your home, it's because you are a child of your parent. That's why you are able to use those things. Okay, so here also, what is the facility? So facility is input function. So I'll write it here, it is a facility. Okay, facility to calculate something, do something. So if I want to have a benefit of this facility, I as a child, then I can use it, right? But if parent want to use certain facilities of children, I think they may not be able to use it. Suppose you grow more, you become of 24 or 25, get settled, and start earning and make your lots of things. Then if parents wants to feel that they have rights of all of your things, then I don't think you will agree. Okay, but vice versa, we feel it true. So here also the things have been made in such a way. Why I'm doing it here is I am creating one object called as children, or of the class child, as C. Okay, one object have been made as C. Now you can see this is a children object. Can he call its own function? Input C. Yes. Input C round bracket semicolon. Okay. If call goes, then it will be getting printed. This is child class will be getting printed. Next, if I call from here input P, will it be allowed to call here or not? Okay. So I will see later on. Mostly it should be allowed. Okay. Next thing, here just by writing, just observe here. I have written class parent, then class child. Did I write anything extra over here, which gives you an indication? Yeah, this class is child really of this class. Did I write anything any such points over here? No. So just by writing these words, it doesn't give those powers. So we need to add certain syntaxes. Colon is the first syntax you need to mention here. Then you need to mention the name of the class from which it is getting derived, or you want it to get derived. So parent class is the name. So I want it to get derived from there. Now, what all you want to, adopt from your parent? Only few things or everything? So we will say everything, obviously. So we will write that part also. You can see I'm writing public. This express that whatever is written over here gets inherited. Everything possible gets inherited. Okay. Now let's see what all can get inherited. One is private, one is public. Private means what? Highly secured. Nobody outside the class can use. So I'll write down here for you one statement: does not get inherited. Okay. Now example is very easy. In your home, there are definitely few areas to which you still do not have access. Okay, you cannot access those places. So they are kept private from you also. It might be in your home, it might be of your family members only, and they have kept somewhere else also. So private things does not get inherited, but public things, yes, it gets inherited. Okay. So obvious case, public, whatever it is kept in your home is for everyone only. So that gets inherited. Okay. So if you can see input function is kept under public, you have also tried to derive it from this class in this public, then I think output should come properly. So I'll copy this output screen over here, and then we'll notice what is happening. All right. Yeah. So let me show you this execution by opening a PowerPoint or Turbo C++, then you can understand better. Okay. So now I'll open up the Turbo C++ software. I'll type everything same. Okay. So it's opening now. Correct. Open. So I'm in Turbo C++ software right now. I'll remove all this stuff. Notice me while typing also, because that might be helpful for you to improve your techniques. Now I'm going to define one class, parent. Defined, semicolon, very important part. Private, public. Now you can notice that what I'm doing is int p, this is a data member just. Yeah. I have to define one input function here, input P. So you can see I'm just going to write here one cout statement. This is parent class. Done. Okay. Now going to the next one. I think we have discussed that same thing we'll type only. This child thing will be changed. So I want to copy it, copied, pasting it, pasted. Okay. So that is upper one is parent class, lower one is child class. So let's make certain changes. Child. As we discussed, I'll add those colon and everything later on. So that first I'll tell you whether it gives an error or not. Okay. So that you can also realize it. C, input C. This is child class, isn't it? Child class. That's right. Done. Now you observe here. I am going to define that object of class child C. Now you notice here C dot input. First I'll call to his own function so that you understand whether it goes or not. Then I'll call C dot input P, means parent class function. Okay, and then we'll notice whether what happens, error comes or not. When we have that, when we have not written this part, this here, linkage with the parent class. So I'll compile the program. Notice what happens. Okay, compilation done. One error. What is it the error for? The error is not for input C line. Error is for input P line. It is telling input P function is not a member of child. Okay. Why is it calling giving this kind of error? Because he did not go into parent class yet. He has just checked in the boundaries of children class. Only in this much he checked. Because there is no other link to go above and check, because you did not mention anything here. Okay, I am linked with this class also. So now I am writing it colon public, okay, parent. Now I am linking it with the parent class. That means I am showing that this child class is a derived class from parent. Now if I compile and notice what happens, no errors. Okay, now if I execute, it's saying source modified. Do you want to rebuild? I'll say yes, rebuild. Okay. Sorry, it still says giving some an error. Clear screen done. Okay. We'll build all first. Done. Compilation. Okay, and execute. I think it is not clearing up certain things, or let me save it. Yeah, done finally. Okay, so you can see now output has come correctly. It is giving the output as this is a child class, this is a parent class. Means for the first out that function call, it is called to its own function of children class, which is printing this is a child class. Then it is also calling to the parent function and printing as this is the parent class. Okay, so basically this way it has made it possible. Now, as I was telling you, reverse is not possible. Means if I make one more call, let's say parent object, parent P, okay, and let's say parent is trying to call. So obviously he will be able to call his own function, but he will not be able to call the function of child, because child may not obviously allow the access to his own function. So we'll just see compilation. Yeah, you can see one error. If parent calls to the, let's see the error is in which line. It is saying that input C is not a member of parent. So you see, you can notice parent object is not able to call children function, but reverse was possible. Okay, I'll go back to that PowerPoint screen here. Here, this thing was possible, this thing was also possible, but when we did something called as this, all right. So I'll make two void mains basically so that you can make output also in that fashion in your notes. And I'll make two outputs also because in the second one output did not come only. Yeah. So this is the output for this void main. So now I'm making another void main. Yeah. So now you can see if I'm making a parent object, parent P. Okay. And if I write here P dot input C and P dot input P, here it will give an error. Input C is not a member of class parent, basically not allowed. Okay. So this gives you a clear cut idea. Reverse is not possible, but derived classes can definitely utilize the feature of upper class. This kind of inheritance it is. So why and who will be doing all these things, inheritance things? So let's go back to this previous program. Here it is the answer. Suppose there is a company in which already there are programs of circle working properly, rectangle working properly, and triangle also working fine. So let's say they get a contract. They are in a need of addition of a new class. They need a new facility called as, they need to introduce basically. Okay, I'm making it yellow, not yet released. Yeah, they want a facility for cylinder. Okay, cylindrical shape. And you are a new or fresh joinee in their company. So you will say, yes, I will make it very easily. So for that company in which you have been appointed recently, they will not give you an access to the full class. And what they will tell you safely is, you prepare your class, just get it to us. We will add it below, link it with the main shape and test it. If it doesn't work well, we'll just delete your class. So that is how it becomes very easy to manage. Testing also, launch is also error free. And basically we can say that it gives the opportunity also to everyone to come out with the solution. Okay. So here also we can see that this class had certain features, was working well earlier. But if you want to bring certain new things, just simply add a new class, link it with it, and launch it in the world. If it doesn't work well, many users complains, then what they will do is they will again come up with a new update for your app by deleting this application or this class from their programs. Okay, so this is how it is working in the world. So this classes and object or inheritance process is like this. Okay, I know you might be having lots of queries right now. For example, when you inherited this, I said this doesn't get inherited, even though I wrote public because you have written private here. So I wrote public here. So it is allowed here in this class. So you might say, sir, what is the difference then? If you write public here, in void main also it was allowed. See, from void main you are able to call. Yes, we are able to call. But there is one more extra feature called as, if you want certain things to get inherited to the children class, but not to the void main, then that third feature is also there, which is other than private and public. We'll discuss about it very soon, but it is your time to note down or make your notes. Okay. So you do that. Oh, sorry, slide got changed. Yeah, this slide it was, no. Yes, this slide. So make a notes of this. Whatever you want to add in your notes, please do it well. Okay. So having done this much, we will try to make one program now, which will give us a better effects. Okay. So I'll start with that. Program basically, let me draw the tree first and then explain you what I'm trying to make the question. Okay. Okay. So there are basically, let's say, two class. One is circle and one is rectangle. Now I'm in a company in which I want to make common facilities, okay, for users. So let's say this is a shape class I have made. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I have one class with the extraordinary feature of only circle. This class has extraordinary feature of only rectangle. So what I did, I created a one class which is derived from both of them. So don't we get the properties of both of them? Yes. So if I make object of only this class, I get access to circle as well as rectangle. And as per requirement of user, I can do whatever I want to do. So let us try to see how program gets benefited because of such methods. Okay. Yeah. So in this particular program, let us first focus on class circle only so that we can relate to the other things. This is a class circle. In that I have a variable called as float r, means every circle has a data member r, isn't it? And this is an input function of class circle input c, and here it will ask user to enter radius value. Enter radius value c in, let's say, r. Okay. Then if somebody comes here for calculation of the area c for circle again, then it will do one thing, it will calculate as well as print it. So it will just calculate a float result equals to 3.14 into r semicolon, and it will just print it. See out area is result done. Okay. So the way I have made the class circle, I will also make one more class rectangle. Okay. Exactly similar, but for rectangle. So rectangle would have what? Let's say keep the name of the class as rectangle or rect. Let's keep rectangle, no issues. Rectangle. It will have length and breadth as a variable data members. It will have the function of its own, input r and function in areas r. R for rectangle here also. Here it might ask, sorry, here is a spell correction. Yeah. Enter length value, then user might enter the length value L. Similarly, same repeats for breadth also. B. Okay. Done with that. 2. Okay, let's come out little from here. Yeah, we are in this area function of rectangle now. So result will be equal to L into B, and area is result. That's it. Okay. So this is the class basically. Now one more class is required. See, these both are independent class. Circle is done, rectangle is also done. Now I want to create one more class which will be derived from both of them in the same program. Okay, so this is not required, and this is also not required. Yeah, so the name of that class will be shape, and as we know, we want to derive it from both of them. So you can see now very well. Public public circle means I want to derive it from circle class, comma, as well as from rectangle. So public, again I will write rectangle, R capital, then R capital. You can see I'll do copy paste also, so that I do not make any mistake of writing that. Then what else is my job here? So I don't need any this functional member here, shape, because this will be taken care by each and individual class. Here what I'll do is I'll ask users query. So I am defining one query function. Okay. Here I'll ask him what he wants to do. Okay. So you can see here I'm going to ask user like enter one for circle operations. So he will enter one if you want to do the circle operation. Otherwise, you can enter 2 for rectangle operations. Okay. So now you all of us know that we have something called as if structure. So what I'll do here inside is whatever he is going to enter, first I'll save it in somewhere, right? C in n. So he will read both the statements and he will enter any one value which gets saved inside n. So I need to define one variable called as n here also. Int n semicolon. So now I have to check what he has entered. So if n is equal to 1, then what I'll do, I'll just call this input function. So how to call input function from the function of the class? See, you are in one class now. In that also in one function only, which has been called by some object. So if object has called query function, then query can call directly input function, means like this. Input C. Understood? Because if he want to do circle operations, you came here. Now you will call input function to take the radius value, then you will call area function also. So area C, that also is done. So easy. If not this, then what to do? So that is also easy. You can see I am going to write here, if not that, else means if he is not entering 1, I'll assume any other number as 2 only. Okay. Currently, let's focus on that part. And let's see whether these kind of things run well or not. Okay. So we have made an if else. That's it. Now did we make a void main here till now? So no. So now I'll make small void main, which will be simpler. str get ch, and yes, I will be defining only one object of class shape. So you can see shape class, one object I'm making S of class shape, and see the powers. Shape object has powers to access everyone, but right now S is calling only one function, query. Means this call basically right now from here goes to this query function. Okay, and believe me, it will work well. It is going to query function, then query function start execution, and if during this execution, if it has to go here, let's say, if it has to enter inside this, only assumption, let's say for circle, then you can notice from input C, call directly goes here. Okay, from this input C, basically call goes to input function, that also starts execution, and then control comes back also. So from here control comes back to same place because that execution has completed. Okay, and again from here it goes below, and from this function area C calls goes back to this function, that also would execute its job, and control will come back to this place. And we all of us know now it is not going to go into else and it will come out. So basically these all operations are happening smoothly. And why? Because we have done the inheritance. Okay. Now what I have done is the same thing I have already written in the compiler, but with using some switch case instead of if else. So I'll just show you that also. I'll share that screen. So here from the top I'll show you. This is the same class circle, input C function, area C function, you can see. Then this is the rectangle class, rect class basically. You can see everything same, similar. Then I have something called as shape class, defined from circle and rectangle. Query function, enter one for this, two for this, and instead of using if else I have used switch, but that doesn't make a difference. And at the end you can notice void main. Okay, so only call is going to query function. Let us compile. Okay, that's not a big issue. I'll run the program and you can see the output. It is asking me to enter one for this circle, two for rectangle. Let me do for circle. I'll press 1, enter. It is asking me enter radius value. Okay, I'll enter 2. Okay, it is giving me answer as area is 12.56. Is it correct? 3.14 into 2 into 2. So almost 3 into 2 into 2, which is 3 into 4, 12, right? So it's correct. So see, things have become smoothly executed. And suppose there are 3 employees in the company, out of which one is boss, 2 are employees, and those 2 will be making circle and rectangle class. Boss will just link his class with them, and he will ensure that things work well. If circle does not work well, he will delink it. That is what I wanted to explain to all of you. Okay, so I'll go back to this PowerPoint screen, which have explained you this particular program, and there is a place for you to make a notes. But before that, if you want, I'll copy that output for you here. Okay, so where was that output? Yeah, here. Okay, So I'm pasting that output also here for you and going to the full screen mode, and you can start making your notes. This is the last program for this session.